I got involved from the very beginning, actually. We were just wrapping our previous film with Amanda and Richard called Resistance, and I heard that Amit had written a script called Jadoo, and I read it and I loved it, and we all decided, the three of us decided to make it a film. Well, the fact that when I read it, really, I couldn't put it down. I read it non-stop, and I laughed and I cried, and I was very hungry because I loved all the descriptions of the food. So I decided that it should reach a wide audience, and I think it would make everybody feel this way. So that was the motivation, really. I enjoyed the most the fact that even though it was in an Indian family, it took place in an Indian family, it was really, the themes were very universal about, you know, how we fight in families and the pride gets in the way, and we forget family over pride. I think everybody can relate to Amara, to Shalini, and the fact that she just wants to have the wedding of her dreams and have everybody be happy and around her at that time. So that's really, it's all those sort of good feelings. I think in the current times with the, you know, recession and everything, people just want films like this that just make them feel good, that have the right tone like this. Well, that's really the point of the story, since it's really about two chefs. So I think, and that's, I think, also, you know, why Amit wanted to write this film, because it's true for him too. He grew up above a curry house. His mom is, as we all know, since we've been on the shoot, an amazing cook. So I think his family relates a lot through food. So he wanted to write a story about this, first a Radio 4 show, and then the story, the script about food, and how food can break families because they actually have a fight about a recipe. We discover this very late in the film, but and then how food can also reconcile them, because the brothers, in a tricky way, find each other through this curry competition, and after they reconcile in the hospital, the next scene, and it's on purpose, is all of them cooking together. So food is really what is at the core of all their family dynamic. The script was already pretty outstanding, actually, when we put our hands on it. We got a couple of rewrites, but it was really in great shape. So the challenge is, of course, finding the money. And as we know, the industry is changing. So it was a challenge, and we got very lucky, and we're very grateful for that to all our investors. But that was really, for me, because it's you know, the big part of my role in our partnership. That was the main challenge. We have a somewhat different approach to financing films, which is that we rely almost entirely on private investors, but obviously we have to find them and motivate them to want to support the film. So we organize literally presentations in different parts of London and outside of London, and we present the film with, you know, its what we think are its beauties and its pluses, but also we're very honest about the risks that come with investing in a film. And we've been, as I said, very fortunate that people fell in love with the story the same way we did and decided to support the film. It was really putting the cast and crew together, and we have, again, a fantastic casting agent in Sam, and we have Richard, who knows a lot of incredibly amazing people in the industry. We got also extremely lucky that Roger Pratt from, you know, Harry Potter and Troy and 12 Monkeys grew up in Leicester, and amazingly decided to be part of our crew as a director of photography. So we got very lucky many times. And then I think we assembled an amazing cast, very smart emotionally and intellectually, and it made really the shoot be a breeze. It went fast, everybody was getting along really well. We didn't have any issue, and we got again, very fortunate with that step of the process. You know, it was great, actually. It was really great. It's not necessarily a place where lots of us would choose to go hang out for the weekend. Amit does, his family is there. But it's a very peaceful, welcoming place. And of course, the fact that Amit is from there and is very well known since his mom has had this chat house on the Golden Mile for many, many years, 20 years, probably more than this, made that the community really rallied around their family and was quite proud to have this little genius from Leicester come and shoot in Leicester. I think so. We were able to use a lot of locations there, and people were very open and very supportive. We used, obviously, Amit's mom, her restaurant or chat house also as a location. So we really brought Leicester into the picture in more than one way. Amit grew up above this restaurant, and I think the story, which might seem odd maybe to us at first, you know, the fact that two people would fight over a recipe, selling a recipe, and then not talk to each other and open restaurants across the street. I'm sure at first some people would say, well, only in a film, right? Well, no, actually, Amit, it really happens in Leicester. And it happened more than once, and he actually showed us across the Golden Mile 2 restaurants saying, well, this is exactly the story that happened. So it's really rooted in the reality of Leicester restaurant life. And in Leicester, you really have, you know, a lot of restaurants and a lot of, and then you have the sari shops and barbers and jewelry, but really a lot of restaurants is basically what you have in Leicester. So it's bound to happen a lot if families fall apart like this. So that was the lovely side of it also, is that it was really, and in fact when we screened it with people, Indian people, they've said every single bit, every line, every family dynamic rings very true to them, which is a huge compliment, I feel, to Amit and the whole crew and cast. Because they'll, as I said, they'll laugh, they'll cry, they'll feel good, they'll be hungry. They'll think a little bit. They might think about, you know, some of the things that happen in their family, but this is not meant to be a draining film. They'll leave the cinema feeling good and happy and hungry, and having learned a little bit about the culture also, because, you know, there's a lot of references to Indian food, to Indian festivities. And I think it's always also interesting when, as a side benefit of watching a film, you learn a little bit about an environment you're not that familiar with. Well, this film represents everyday life because it really, nothing in it is foreign to any of us. And in fact from children to older people, because we've screened it now from children, I think starting at 8. I didn't measure the upper age limit, and everybody related to it in more than one way. Obviously the relationship with food, whether you love or hate food, you can still relate to people who have a strong relationship with food. The family dynamic, you know, the fighting and reconciling and the jokes and the brother-sister relationship, which I think is also very important. The daughter being, you know, loving her father and her uncle, but them not talking to each other. All these are very familiar feelings, I think, to pretty much anyone. It's two brothers who, in their younger years, two fantastic Indian chefs, fall out in a terrible way, and we don't know why originally, and they proceed to set up restaurants opposite from each other on the Golden Mile in Leicester. However, one is very good at starters and the other one is very good at the rest of the recipe book, because when they had this big fight, they actually cut physically the recipe book in two. And it gets a bit more complicated when the daughter of one of them wants to get married, but she wants both of them to cook at her wedding. So she is going to do anything a girl can do to have them make peace and to have the wedding of her dreams. The highlight of the shoot for me has been, well, there's two actually. It's getting the bear hugs from Harish Patel, who is our main actor and is just a wonderful character. He came from Mumbai, and we were glad every day of the shoot that he agreed to jump on a plane and join us. He lit up the film with his personality. He lit up the set with his personality, and he made all of us feel like we wanted to be 8 years old and be hugged all day. That was one highlight. The second highlight was definitely the shoot of the day we reconstituted Holi, the Holi festival, because it was wonderful to bring, I think we brought 200 people from Leicester that day as extras, and they really had fun. They danced, and then we throw the powder, the colored powder. I did it, I was there, and it was a lot of fun, and it was quite special. And again, luckily, and thanks to Roger and his crew in particular, I think it looks really beautiful on the final cut.